My mom tore my wedding dress. You're not allowed to outshine your sister, she needs to be the star. But then my grandma stepped in. Honey, did she just ruin the dress I wore at my own wedding? My mom turned white, and everything exploded. Okay, take a deep breath. Can you imagine paying for your family's home for 5 years, only to find out they secretly took your name off the deed? What if the people who were supposed to love you most not only erased you from the very house you'd been protecting, but then they tried to tear your wedding dress to pieces, right in front of you? Hey everyone, I'm Amanda, I'm 31, and I'm a stylist. You know, the kind of person who spends their mornings steaming gowns and their afternoons pinning dreams onto people who didn't even have the words for them. But in my own family? I'm the fixer. The background one. The she'll handle it person. I've always been the quiet satellite, orbiting the chaotic suns of my family, just keeping schedules, making sure everything runs smoothly. I keep emergency bobby pins in my car, stain remover in my purse, and everyone else's timelines on my phone. My fiancé, Daniel, he teaches physics, and he's always losing his keys. I actually cut his hair on Sundays. I live in a small apartment above a bakery. My life, it's pretty calm, pretty much my own. Then there's my sister, Mia. She's the golden child, the one who walks into a room and everyone rearranges themselves around her. My mom even calls her my son. And my brother Ben, he's got 2 little boys and a laugh that can clear a parking lot. Our family orbit? It's always been crowded, and I was just there. So, my wedding was just 6 weeks away. I was so excited, because I'd made my own dress, nothing flashy, just a beautiful A-line with a subtle train and a simple neckline. But the silk wasn't new. It was my grandmother's wedding dress, stored away in cedar for decades, and I'd painstakingly unpicked it, pressed it flat, and remade it into something that finally felt like me. That afternoon, my mom was circling me with a measuring tape, but she was frowning. Her voice was tight. Mia's hair trial is at 4 o'clock. We can't keep her waiting. I tried to speak up softly. Mom, it's my fitting. She looked at me, utterly offended. Don't be dramatic. And there was Mia, scrolled on the couch, toes painted ballet pink, adding her 2 cents. You know I love simple, but the structure is intense, like a couture thing. People will stare. I snapped back. People stare at the bride, Mia. Mom pinched a dart a little too hard. We're a family. We share the spotlight, she said, glancing pointedly at Mia. And your sister is emceeing. The photographer needs to know where to point. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice even. I already gave the photographer a timeline. But she just murmured, tugging the silk again. Your silhouette. If you loved your sister, you'd consider chiffon. My jaw dropped. Mom, this is my dress. That is a phase, she insisted. Mia's brand is timeless. And then, she yanked. The fabric ripped. I flinched. Mia gasped. And for one suspended second, my body remembered every tiny indignity, every birthday folded into someone else's party, every time I had to be a sport and watch something of mine become community property. It was just a seam, she said. But it wasn't. It was never just a seam. Mom, I said carefully, my voice barely a whisper. You ripped it. She just straightened up, completely unbothered. I saved you from a mistake. She turned to Mia, her smile instantly bright. Now, sweetheart, show me that lip color. Mia held up a tube. Peony, she chirped. I swallowed, the taste of ash in my mouth. I needed those 2 hours. You'll fix it. You always do. Just then, a voice came from the hallway. My grandmother, slipping off her gloves. Am I interrupting? My mom's smile froze. Mother, we're busy. Grandma's eyes went straight to the torn silk, then to me. They softened. Sweetheart, she said, her voice like a bomb. Did she give you the dress I got married in? My mom went pale. Mia looked up, confused. What dress? Grandma's gaze didn't leave my mother. The one I stored in cedar, and asked to be kept for a granddaughter who would love it. Silence puddled at our feet. My phone glowed, 3:58. Mia's hair trial. My seam. My breath. Something had shifted. Let me back up a bit. I grew up in a house where attention was currency, and I was the one keeping the books no one ever bothered to read. When Mia won a middle school dance trophy, our living room became a shrine. When I got into cosmetology school on a scholarship, my mom just said, "Practical. You'll always have a trade." When Ben's first baby was born, we built a nursery in our old den. When I finally moved out, my mom kept my room as overflow storage. I could fill a whole kit with these receipts, these tiny indignities. Like, age 9, Mia's piano recital fell on my birthday. "We'll do your cake after," Mom said. After was a day later, the frosting sliding off, my name spelled with one M. "Close enough," she chirped. Age 16, I saved up for a sewing machine. It vanished at Thanksgiving because Mia needed it for a last-minute costume. "She's only borrowing," Mom said, handing me a plastic bag of mismatched thread like it was an apology. Age 24, Ben lost his job. I moved back in for 6 months to help with the boys. That turned into 2 years. I cooked, I cleaned, I paid the water bill. "We're a team," Mom said, then put a gold star sticker next to Mia's name on a laminated chore chart she kept for nostalgia. But the really big one? The house. 5 years ago, Dad's old place, our family home, was about to be sold. He'd left years prior, but the $330,000 mortgage remained. "We can't lose the house," Mom sobbed. "Your grandparents built those stairs with their own hands." Ben had 2 kids, Mia needed space to create. Me? I was freelancing, hustling. Every month was a puzzle. "Okay," I said. "I'll help cover the mortgage while you refinance." 6 months. That turned into 5 years. Autopay, $1,847 on the 15th. An extra $200 when the roof leaked. I kept spreadsheets. I kept quiet. Why? People ask. Because families say we mean you if you're the one who can take a hit. Because I told myself I was keeping history safe. Because I honestly believed that when I said, "I'm doing this so we all have a home," someone would someday say thank you. I have receipts for all of it. Then, 3 months ago, I noticed a detail. I was pinning a client in her condo, and a clause in her HOA packet caught my eye. "Ownership schedule, updated deed recorded." Something about updated deed scratched at my brain. I went home and pulled out my old folder, labeled house mortgage, thick, rubber-banded, corners bent from years of shoving it back in drawers. I called the county recorder's office. "Can I request a copy of the deed?" The clerk asked for parcel numbers. I had them. "Do you want the original or the updated?" she asked. "Updated," I said, trying to sound casual, like my heart wasn't absolutely sprinting. When the PDF arrived, I sat at my tiny kitchen table, a highlighter in hand, treating it like a client's garment contract. And there it was, 2 signatures. My mother's. My brother Ben's. Clause 4.7. Grantor reserves right to assign beneficial use to dependent family members. The old deed, where? My name had been added as co-signer for refinancing support. It was replaced a year earlier. My name wasn't on the new document. Ownership listed: Benjamin Hall Primary, Michael Hall Minor, Oliver Hall Minor, as joint tenants with right of survivorship. Mom had gifted the house to Ben and his boys. She didn't tell me. I found out because I read a clause on a stranger's HOA packet, and something inside me just remembered the way legal language creases. I scrolled through group texts. Nothing. Emails. "We'll handle paperwork," Mom wrote last year. "Don't stress." My rent was due the next day. I'd paid the mortgage 2 days before. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started building a quiet folder, deed_updated.pdf, emails_helpfamily.pdf, text_threadexport.html. I requested bank statements. I printed every payment received. I underlined clause 4.7 and wrote in the margins, beneficial use does not equal ownership. Then I circled the phrase, consideration $10 and love. $10 and love. Seriously? 2 weeks after I saved that deed PDF, Mom texted me. Bring your dress on Saturday for fitting. Mia needs to plan her looks around it. Her looks. I brought the dress. I brought my patience. I left with a rip, and a grandmother's question that turned my stomach cold. The breaking point wasn't a scream. It was a zipper. A week after that fitting, we had an engagement brunch at my aunt's. 30 people, quiches, kids sticky with jam, place cards written in my mother's looping script. Mia wore white. It's Lennon, she said when I looked at her. Different category. Halfway through, Mom clinked a glass. Everyone, quick announcement. We have a plan for the house so the boys are secure, and Mia can focus on her career. She looked at me. So performative. Amanda agrees, of course. I set my fork down. Mom, I said softly, can we not do this here? She smiled. Transparency builds trust. Then be transparent, I said. Calm. Controlled. Tell them when you removed my name from the deed. Conversations went brittle. Forks hovered. Mom's face smoothed. You're mistaken. I reached into my tote, the one with the tape measure and safety pins, and pulled out a slim folder. Daniel squeezed my knee under the table. We're not here to fight, he whispered. I know, I whispered back. We're here to end the pretending. I slid a printed copy across to her. Deed_updated.pdf. Yellow highlight on assigned beneficial use, pink tab on the signature page, underlined executed and recorded last year. Ben shifted in his chair. What is this, ownership? I said. Of the house I've paid the mortgage on for 5 years. Mom laughed lightly. She's misreading. Clause 4.7, I said steady. Defines beneficial use, not co-ownership. And Exhibit C, I flipped the page, shows removal of my name as co-signer once the refinance cleared. You filed it the same week I sent the extra $200 for the roof. A murmur, the kind that tastes like metal. Mia set down her mimosa. Oh, come on. Ben has kids. She turned to me. You don't even want children. I breathed. This isn't about children. It's about consent. And disclosure. I met Ben's eyes. Did you know my name was on the earlier deed and isn't now? He swallowed. Mom said you didn't care. I slid another sheet, a screenshot of our group chat. Mom, 6 months ago. Amanda's fine. She's independent. My reply beneath it, a tiny blue bubble. I need to talk about the house soon. No response. I'd starred that message. Receipts. Then Grandma cleared her throat. I told her, she said softly, surprising everyone, not to play children against each other with property. Mom's cheeks flushed. Mother! And the dress, Grandma continued. The one your great-grandmother hand-stitched, and I asked to save? She looked at me. She gave it to Mia to cut into a costume in college. A phase, she called it. Her eyes returned to my mother. You never told Amanda because you thought Amanda wouldn't make a fuss. The room tilted. Mia blinked. Mom said it was some thrift thing. Then quieter. I didn't know. Mom's voice sharpened. What matters is we've secured the house for the next generation. Amanda has her own life. My life was 26 auto payments a year, and painting the porch at 11 p.m. so we didn't get an HOA fine. Ben ran a hand through his hair. This is getting theatrical. No, I said. This is precise. I folded my hands. I'm not asking for applause. I'm asserting boundaries. Mom's mouth flattened. Like you did with that absurd dress. I looked at her. You ripped my dress because you couldn't stand me taking up any space that wasn't in service to you or Mia. My tone stayed even. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Silence felt strange and heavy. I took a breath. Here's what's going to happen. I'm stepping back from the house. I will no longer pay the mortgage. A couple cousins coughed. I continued measured. I've retained counsel to document contributions to principal over the last 5 years. We'll send a letter outlining options, reimbursement, equitable lien, or sale. We can do it quietly, Aunt Joan whispered. Equitable lien, a security interest, I said, without looking away from my mother. Against the property for the money I put in. Mom's eyes flashed. You wouldn't. You already did, I said gently. You made your choices. I'm making mine. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from Mia. Then another, then a third, each a different version of, Are you really doing this? Across the table, Ben held his fork like a shield. Grandma reached for my hand under the linen. Finally, she murmured. Mom stood up. If you walk out of this family over a misunderstanding, don't come crawling back when you realize you've overreacted. I stood up, too. I'm not walking out. I'm standing up. The zipper sound. It was my tote closing over the stack of paper, as 23 unread messages lit my screen. Pressure is loud when you stop absorbing it. In the 48 hours after brunch, my phone tallied 36 missed calls from Mom, 19 from Ben, 12 from Mia, 7 from numbers I didn't recognize that turned out to be aunts. The messages varied in flavor. You're selfish. Think of the boys. You're ruining this family. We're embarrassed. Money isn't everything. You owe us an apology. At 2:14 a.m., a long one from Mom. You are not the victim. I sacrificed my youth. Stop telling Grandma lies. I muted the thread. I didn't yell back. I hired a lawyer. On Monday, I sat in a tidy office that smelled like lemon oil and paper. Miss Rees wore gray and listened without interrupting. I showed her the folder. I walked her through Clause 4.7, the timeline, the payments, the text threads. She asked one question. Did you intend these payments as gifts? No, I said. They were to preserve shared property with the understanding we were co-owners. She nodded. We'll ask for a constructive or equitable lien for your contributions, and if needed, partition by sale. But first, a letter. She met my eyes. We'll keep the tone cool. We sent the letter certified. We copied the deed. We itemized payments, $1,847 times 60 months, plus extras. It was a number that made my stomach twist. And then, strangely, relax. Numbers tell the truth when people won't. Simultaneously, I called a tailor I trusted and booked time on her big work table. I unpicked the torn seam of my dress, pressed fresh interfacing, and recut the panel from extra yardage I'd stashed exactly because life isn't a straight line. I pinned in silence. I stitched like breathing. Mom escalated. She created a new group chat called Family Emergency and added relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. She posted a photo of the boys in front of the house. They may lose their home because someone is making demands. I did not respond in the thread. Through Miss Rees, I sent a second letter that was almost boring in its neutrality. Mia called 4 times. On the 5th, I answered. Please don't ruin everything, she said without preamble. The timing is awful. My brand has a sponsor coming to the wedding. Your brand? I repeated. Mia, I asked for transparency. Ben didn't know all the legal stuff. She tried. Mom kept it to protect everyone. Mom kept it to protect control, I said. And I'm done funding narratives I'm excluded from. Wow, she said quietly. You've changed. I stopped apologizing for existing. I told her. That's different. She sniffed. So you're fine with my MC notes being cut? Mom said you're banning speeches? I asked for dinner to be about Daniel and me, not a variety show, I said, keeping my tone even. You can toast after cake. You're punishing me, she accused. I'm giving you a boundary. It's new. I get that. Calls kept coming. Then the aunts switch tactics, the soft guilt. Families don't keep score. Your mother is fragile. Ben's boys will remember who saved their house. In parallel, Ben texted once. Can we meet? No lawyers. I met him at a coffee shop in the middle of a weekday when the place was mostly laptops and the hiss of milk steam. He looked older than 33. I didn't know about the deed removal until after, he said, eyes on his cup. Mom said you didn't care about owning. She also said I'd keep paying. I said. He rubbed his face. Mandy, I'm drowning. Daycare, shoes, you know. If we lose the house. I don't want you houseless, I said. I want fairness. He looked up. What do you want? Reimburse principal contributions, or give me a recorded lien, then refinance without me, I stated. He exhaled. I can't write a check that big. We can do a payment plan, I said. Or sell. Or Mom can refinance and cover the difference she called love. He laughed, short and pained. She'll never. Then pick the lien, I said. It protects us both. He nodded slowly. I'll talk to her. Meanwhile, Daniel set tea on my nightstand every evening like a ritual. He would ask, How many today? Nodding at my phone. 28. I would say. Or 18. Or. Only 4. He would nod. Progress. In the quiet, my nervous system recalibrated. I slept through the night for the first time in months. I woke without a pit in my stomach. I bought groceries without doing mortgage math in my head. I put my dress on the form and admired the clean line where the rip had been. I allowed space for anger, then let it drain off like rinse water. A week after the letter, Grandma called. Come by, she said. I found something. Her apartment smelled like lavender and starch. On her dining table, a garment box sat like a reliquary. She opened it. Tissue cedar, something old and soft. A veil, delicately embroidered. Your great-grandmother's, she said. Your mother gave the dress away, but she didn't find this. I touched the netting. It's beautiful. She smiled. Wear it if you want or don't. But know that not everything can be stolen by people who mistake control for love. I drove home with the veil in my lap and a feeling like air finally reaching the back corners of a room. By Friday, Miss Rees had a reply from Mom's attorney, and Uncle's friend with a free AOL email, which would have been funny if it weren't so predictable. The letter called me ungrateful, said my payments were gifts, and threatened to go public with family disputes. Miss Rees sent them a 3-sentence response with 4 exhibits and an invitation to discuss terms. No heat. No drama. On Saturday, I turned my phone off for 6 hours. I made soup. I read a book. I tried the veil on with a t-shirt and sweatpants and cried alone in my kitchen. Not because of the veil, but because quiet can feel like grief when you're used to being loud for other people. On Sunday, Ben texted, Mom says no. I'll take the lien. Okay, I wrote back. Miss Rees will draft. He replied with a single thumbs up. Then, after a minute, I'm sorry. I stared at the ... and said nothing because sometimes you don't plug holes other people drilled. A month later, our wedding was small, deliberate, in a gallery courtyard. Daniel wore navy, my dress fit clean and true. Grandma pinned the veil. Mia and Ben both skipped the mic. Ben sat in the back, cried at the vows, left to pick up the boys. Mom didn't come. 11:04 a.m. I refused to witness disrespect. 11:06 a.m. I hope you don't regret this. Then silence. I married someone who sees me as a person, not a resource. We ate cake, slow danced, let disposable cameras catch the rest. No speeches. Just us. This whole journey taught me so much about boundaries, and about who truly sees you for you. Have you ever had to stand up to your family like this? Or faced a betrayal that just rocked your world? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your stories.